Jeremiah 51 and verse 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Call Haloyim La Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and who have taught us knowledge through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Alright. Honors and salutations to your fellow laborers out there doing the work in truth and in sincerity, especially during these times. Shalom to the few Akwaf that believe as well. A hearty shalom to you other laborers and believers scattered throughout the face of the earth. Even if you're among the heathen and like the heathen who are speckled Israelites to the household of faith, I want to say shalom to you. You know, Babylon is finished. And the reason why I'm saying it is because based on what we're witnessing as far as, you know, this war with Iran, and, you know, it's getting ready to be an all-out war, World War III. The scriptures call it the third woe. We're going to witness the collapse of Babylon and, well, in particular, the dollar is what I want to harp on. All right, the dollar, and that's going to bring in the MOTB system. And, excuse me. You know, a lot of you naysayers out there still haven't came up with anything plausible. All right, those of you that deny that the MOTB is the chip, whether it be the one that goes into the hand or the Neuralink, you know, a lot of you out there just doing things just for filthy lucre's sake and or speaking against it just because you're just rebellious, man. All right, but truly, indeed, the MOTB is the chip, and you know, the RFID microchip is what the whole name is, and you got the neural link that goes to the head. You know, it's still an MOTB, but that's prophesied in the Holy Scriptures. I'm going to bring it out, but I want you to hear what my man is saying. You know, from redacted, and again, I want to say, Lord, when are you edified? So with that, I want to say fair use, fair use. Under the 1976 Fair Use Act, Section 107. My videos are not monetized. I don't get any compensation off these videos. Only for literary commentary and educational purposes. And with this lesson, this is going to be biblical prophecy, all right, or prophetic events going to take place, you know, revolving the collapse of the U.S. dollar. So with that being said, fair use, fair use. Let's get in the clip.
Well, over the past few days, we've seen gas prices now hit their highest level since 2022 in the United States, respectfully. Average U.S. prices skyrocketed now past $4 per gallon on Tuesday, reaching their highest level in nearly 4 years. Donald Trump is reportedly looking for some kind of off-ramp, if you can actually believe that, from this war against Iran.
Ain't no off-ramp. He's referring to an emergency off-ramp. Like if you're a truck driver, you know this. It's an emergency off-ramp in the mountains, in particular, on like hilly regions in America, where a truck driver can be, you know, going into there because he lost his brakes. You know, in trucking, your brakes can overheat, and it's like having no brakes. So a semi truck will have a. Matter of fact, let me see here. See, can I get it? Yeah, America not get off the fucking off ramp. Or I should say exit ramp. Yeah, a runaway truck ramps are emergency escape lanes located on steep downgrades designed to stop out of control heavy vehicles using deep gravel, sand, or nets. Exactly. And I know this very well because, you know, I rode by these, you know, off ramps many times. Okay. And when he's talking about America, you know, America can't get off, you know, the road from going into World War III and then to destruction because the Lord ain't gonna allow this place to have emergency ramp or emergency exit ramp. All right, his purpose for this place is that it's gonna be destroyed. Okay, so let's get into the video at hand. Okay, again, fair use, fair use. Let's play a little more.
Against Iran, Israel's war against Iran. But of course, every time we move close to negotiations to try to end this war, Israel bombs something to basically scuttle those plans. We spoke with Joe Kent earlier this week, who said that this is a big frustration inside of the Trump administration, that every time we get close to some sort of ceasefire agreement or some sort of framework for negotiations, the Israelis step in and bomb and scuttle those plans. Watch.
And then also, in terms of every time that President Trump attempts to move us to a place where we can negotiate, the Israelis come in and they kill negotiators, they kill members of the government, they specifically bomb the infrastructure that President Trump says that we're not going to bomb anymore. Basically,
that's because he don't run shit, but his mouth. The president of the United States or Babylon is not in control of it. He's a high regarded spokesperson on behalf of the elites, because they the ones that run this American shit. The Chaldeans are the Amalekites of the house of Esau Edom. Okay, and they look up the Chaldeans, right? Let me see here. Let me see. Watch this. The Chaldeans were okay. It says shifting power from Assyria and establishing Babylon as a major center of culture, science, and power under kings like Nabopolassar and Nebuchadnezzar. Key roles and contributions: political leadership. Yeah, Chaldeans controlled that architectural. Let me see. Architectural and urban rebuilding. Let me see. Yes, they were renowned scholars, particularly in astronomy, mathematics. Not that. It says the Chaldean became synonymous with a highly educated social class in Babylon, known for wisdom, astrology, and interpretation of omens, as described in the biblical book of Daniel, which they had astrologers and stargazers and prognosticators and all that, right? Sorcerers, right? But ultimately, they didn't know what the hell was going on. The role they played, right? The role they played was that they controlled the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Simply. Okay? And that's how it is with America. The Amalekites control America, which are the tiny tops. See? So, Trump don't run shit but his mouth. Okay, let's continue on, though.
Bomb anymore, basically to show the Iranians that we're not negotiating in good faith, or that it really doesn't matter what we say because the Israelis are just going to jump in and do whatever they want. And as much as the Israelis have gone against us publicly, we still have yet to restrain them in any meaningful way. I know there's been some reports here and there that the vice president or somebody else called and yelled at Bibi, but until we actually take away some of the support that we're giving to the Israelis, their behavior will not change, because they basically think that any kind of talking to that we give them is just hollow, because it truly is.
Ouch. And then President Trump on Tuesday.
That's really the gist of it. What the Rothschilds' mother say: if my sons don't want no wars, if my sons do not want war, it will not be war. And they're the top banking family. They're the top. The top Chaldeans. Okay, the Rothschilds, Bilderbergs, DuPonts, Gettys, the Rockefellers, all the ones that have a hand in the central banking system, and they control the world's wealth. Okay, give me a nation's wealth, and I care not who makes the laws. This is what their forefathers said. Okay, so let's go to the scriptures. Jeremiah 51:8. Again, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaches to heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. So, the judgment of Babylon, all right, is at hand. The judgment that the Lord has for it, all right, is imminent. Okay, because I was looking up the word imminent, and it's pretty much on point, because that's what's going on. All right, unavoidable collapse, because the word imminent goes to unavoidable events. That's what's going to happen. Okay. All right. The collapse of Babylon the Great. And their economy. All right, the economy here in Babylon. All right, this is the excuse me. The economy here in Babylon. This is the the currency that controls the world's trading and buying and selling. And this is why you have it where a lot of those countries are getting away from the U.S. dollar. So everything that's weakening the dollar is due to them removing themselves from doing transactions through the U.S. dollar, and also the Straits of Hormuz. Okay, so it's gonna be a collapse, man. This dollar gonna collapse. It says that the money of Egypt failed, man. And you need money. Scriptures tell you that that money is a defense. Okay, so pretty much, man. Hey, you need money, but hey, if the money failed, then what? Because America's money is not backed by anything. America's currency is basically IOU payments, man. IOU payments that translate into nothing, because it's not backed by gold, silver, or any precious thing. But yet it controls the other countries through the U.S. dollar. Right, the petrodollar as it once were, which has been removed. So now you see, all right, the collapse of the U.S. dollar happening, because it was always weak to begin with. It was always on the brink of collapse, because they took it off, the gold standard, and then they took it off the silver standard in 1971. So it was always only a matter of time, and it's going on just like the Roman denarius. Okay. Matter of fact, let's look this up real quick. No. Is it denarius? Let me see. It says the Roman denarius collapsed through centuries of systematic currency debasement, where let me go to it, where emperors reduced its silver content from roughly 95 to 98% under Augustus, 15 BC, to less than 2% by the 280s AD. See? This devaluation, driven by the need to fund massive military spending and government deficits, caused runaway inflation and a total loss of public confidence and a social return to bartering. See, there you go, man. Oh, what does the scripture say? Let me get this real quick. This is Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that had been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. See? And we're watching it, man. We're watching it. We're watching the same thing happen to the Roman denarius happen to the U.S. dollar, because this is the America is a replica of Rome, man. This is a replica of Rome. Okay, the whole American system, man, including this, currency, man. I just gave you the history on the it's lucky for the noise. I'm in my vehicle, but yeah, the denarius came to an end, and so is the U.S. dollar coming to an end. Okay, so there's no new thing under the sun, because you know why? Because you know why? The Lord is going to do away, all right, with this beast system, man. Okay, the little season, all right. It says, what's that? Revelation 20. It should be he should be loose for a little season. All right, that little season is about up, man. Matter of fact, let me see. It's another one too. It speaks about it going to perdition, right? I ain't gonna hold you too long, Lord willing. Revelation 17 is in verse 8. It says, "The beast that thou sawest and is now, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall descend out of the bottomless pit." Yeah, it's Esau coming back into power. All right, during the Renaissance period, right? And go into perdition. And we're at the part of the perdition, which the word perdition, when you go into it, you look up the word perdition, it means, I'm not gonna look it up on the etymon, because I like it better on the etymology dictionary. It gives you, more. Well, it's pretty good here too. But it kind of goes to a lot of other things that it's on the same line, of destruction. But it says from the Greek word apaleo, I think apalei.
Strong's G 684. Apoleia.
Okay, apolia. Okay, Shalaki. I'm not good with Greek as far as pronunciation, so Shalaki. But it says destroying, utter destruction of vessels, of perishing, ruin, destruction of money. All right, the destruction of the construct. It's like the destruction which consists of eternal misery in hell, that's not true. All right, eternal misery in hell. But anyways, yeah, man. All right, this beast, all right, or yeah, this beast system, all right, is getting ready to go into perdition. Okay, see, was that it on that? Let me look at something else. The final stage, and that's why I read Jeremiah 51. It says Babylon healed. Babylon cannot be healed. You cannot heal this place, man. It says the final stage, crisis of the 3rd century. The coin became essentially a copper core with a thin temporary silver wash that quickly rubbed off, making it worthless in daily transactions. Hyperinflation. It says as the intrinsic value metal content fell below the nominal value, prices for goods skyrocketed. By 301 AD, a pound of gold was valued at 72,000 denarii, creating an estimated 15,000% inflation rate over the century. See? And these birth pains of the U.S. dollar, or this America collapsing in itself, all right, and in particular, I'm highlighting the economy. This happened to Rome, man. Okay, hyperinflation. We're going into hyperinflation right now. All right. It says consequences: economic disintegration, tax crisis, government response. Okay, so that's what we're going to right now, man. All right, increased taxes. You feel it at the pump. You feel it at the grocery store. Okay, that's why I read Jeremiah 51. This place cannot be healed, man. All right, it's getting ready to go into protection because why? The Lord's getting ready to destroy this place, man. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16 and verse 37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when the woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth. Great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. See? And this is what we're witnessing. The birth pains of this place. The place is going out, man. Real fast. You know, contrary to popular belief and opinion, this place is going out pretty fast, man. Okay? You can see it. You can feel it. It says, verse 39, even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Okay? Especially when they make the chip mandatory. All right, Revelation 3 and 10. It says what? It says that, let me get it. All right, this is Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Right, which the mandatory implementation of the chip. Okay, it's going to be made mandatory. It's going to put pressure on you people, man. It's going to be a great time of testing. And all the Israelites, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, that's not clinging to Yahweh Shem and the Lord's word, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to take the chip and you're going to be put to death, man. Simple and plain. All right, but us that kept the word of the Lord's patience, okay, and we're going to be okay in that day. Lord willing, we those men, okay? Because this is here, man. This is here. We at the threshold. Again, we at the doors, man. Let me get that, man. Even at the doors, man. Let me get this real quick. The book of Matthew 24. I'm going to go right to the point. Verse 33. Matthew 24:33. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Right. Okay. We at the door of all hell breaking loose, and also the kingdom being the kingdom being set up through Yahweh Shai and the elect. Okay, we're at that threshold, man. And Lord willing, I'm part of the elect, but this is where we at. You know, we gotta go through the tribulation. All right, the great time of testing first. Right, Jacob's time of trouble is here. And these prophecies are speaking, man. It says at the end it shall speak it, not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, it will surely come. So the MOTB is here, man. Okay, so with that, all praises and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Shalom to you, sincere, or just shalom to the elect, man. You know, shalom to the Lord's elect, man. And the Lord willing, I'll see you next video. Till next time, shalom.